This is Entrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart. With your host, Terri Levine. Listen every week as Terri tackles the topics that will help you become a successful heart-centered entrepreneur. Be sure to read the blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Come back often and add this show to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. And now here's Terri.
Hello and welcome back to Heartrepreneur Radio, Heartrepreneur TV. I am Terri Levine, the Chief Heartrepreneur, and I was just sharing with our guest, who I'm going to bring on in just a moment, that I spent the entire weekend, Saturday, Sunday, literally decluttering. First, I started with my office, and then I just got on a rip-roaring tangent and went through the whole house. And man, when I came into work today, I feel so much more energy. So it's synchronistic because I have with me Laura Williams. Laura is the founder of OrganisedWell. She's a professional organizer and she's a declutterer, and she's based in the UK, which you'll hear her lovely accent in just a moment. And she's going to help us really look at how decluttering possessions and getting rid of the things in our homes and in our offices can actually help us not only in our business, but also, and really hear this, in our health. So Laura, welcome here to Heartrepreneur Radio and TV.
Hi, Terri. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you. And it's just so true. You know, it's interesting. I woke up on Saturday morning and something just said, go spend the morning decluttering your office. And I did. And I got rid of gobs of stuff and old books and old programs. And then all of a sudden, Sunday, I got up and said, let's do more rooms. That was fun. And today, I just can't believe it. When I came into my office, feels completely different. So before we even talk about why that is, how did you get interested in decluttering?
Oh, wow. I was completely overwhelmed by everything going on in my life. And it just got to a point where I was just under so much stress. And I happened to pick up the book by Marie Kondo, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I was reading through it and just trying small changes in my own bedroom, actually. It just felt so amazing. And I was changing the energy in the space that I had. And something changed within me as well. I just felt like I was regaining control of some aspect of my life, and a weight was lifting. And I just enjoyed it so much. And I started looking into it more and more and discovered it's actually an industry where you can actually help other people with this. So it went from there, really.
Beautiful. So what is it about this decluttering and getting organized that adds value first to us as people, and then let's talk about to our businesses, and then I want to go to our health. I want to cover it all with you, Laura.
Okay. So when we declutter, we're removing things from our home that we don't need, that's filling our space. And actually, for me, it's not just about the physical. Yes, we take things out, but we change the energy in a space. We create space, which makes us feel that freedom, really. And there's, through the process of reviewing our things, I think we think hard and long about the things that are really important to us. And I think for me, that's what really helped me, is a shift from, we've got we consume all this stuff. It's so easy and cheap to get hold of things, so readily available now through getting deliveries at home. And we accumulate, don't we? But we never really look consciously at what we're keeping. And we don't notice, but it builds up. And I think, we also do that with our diaries, with our time, with our social media and our email, and all of those things that build up. And so by decluttering, we're making a conscious effort to think about what's important to stay in our lives, and we're releasing everything else. It also feels really good to release those things, because we can pass things on to other people who will enjoy them and use them in a way that we haven't. So there's a feeling of helping other people there as well.
Yeah, let me speak to that for a minute. I'm so glad you brought that up. I've been in business over 40 years, and I'm an invest in myself. So I have programs and courses and books and manuals. And when I literally took them all out, I mean, I could have filled like 10 closets with them. I was overwhelmed and they were scattered everywhere. So I'm like, was I even looking at them? And instead of throwing them away, I realized, man, my clients would love some of these. I mean, there's programs that cost anywhere from $97 on up to probably $10,000. So I organized them all. I made an Excel spreadsheet of them. And this morning, I said to my clients, pick what you want, let me know, and I will just ship it over to you. And they're like ecstatic. So that does feel really good.
It feels amazing, right?
Yeah.
To be able to share with other people and they're going to get the benefit, but it also frees you up. As you say, you've got all that stuff accumulated. You're trying to work in that space, but actually you've got so much there. Things that you don't really notice, but you haven't touched in ages. And that doesn't feel good.
Well, it doesn't. And I think unconsciously I would walk into my office, and over the last few months, it felt very heavy, like, oh. And all of a sudden this morning I walked in and was like, all right, let's get to work. It was so different. So how can that actually help us have more success in business?
So when we have lots of things around us, we're creating a visual noise. And as you say, we may not notice it, but it may feel like unfinished business. Maybe you didn't finish all the courses, or you meant to come back to things. Maybe there are books that you mean to reread or read in the first place. All of that energy, that kind of negativity is there. And by clearing it, you're taking that the guilt or the kind of feelings of things that are incomplete, you're taking that away, but you're also taking the visual clutter away, the visual noise. I always think about space, and I studied art in my past, and I reflect now on when you look at a visual picture, there's often, when you look at an image with lots of white space or lots of clear space, it's quite calming. And I never really thought about why that was until I started this work. And there's a parallel between, what's attractive about an image, maybe a minimalist image or something with lots of just blue sky or just plain space, and a room that has the same sort of experience where you don't have lots of detail, you don't have lots of things everywhere.
Yeah,
it's just so calming.
I do get that. I think that is very calming. I have 2 big desks in my office, and I clear them literally down to the bone, like clear them even of things that were on my desk. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of sentimental. Somebody gave that to me, or I picked it up somewhere. I no longer felt a real attachment to the object, and I started to think about something. If you have any challenges in your business and you want some business advice and help, we're here to do a customized blueprint to help you overcome your biggest business challenge. Send an email right now to Terri, Terri, at Terri Levine, Levine, and we will tell you how to get your customized business blueprint. We are truly here to help you. I tell my clients all the time that they want to have one focus, one goal, and not to have shiny object syndrome. And I thought, visually on my desk, I have shiny object syndrome. I could be, interested in any one of these objects for any reason, and I could lose my focus. So is there something about that and keeping like maybe desks or file cabinets clean, or an email? Like, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, so when we simplify things, you're absolutely right. We make it easier to focus on a few tasks. And I think it's the same, from a visual perspective. We know, researchers have done research on our ability to focus and be productive. When we have a less cluttered environment, it enables us to focus on things that we need to work on rather than being distracted. And we know, from other studies around focus and productivity that the human mind can only focus for certain amounts of time. So if you've got things distracting you, you're trying to our brains can't multitask. So you're trying to go from one thing to another. And even individual objects, you're right, they point to memories, don't they? Or they have a meaning, even if they don't, that's not so powerful anymore, it's still there. So I think it gives us, by clearing our space, we create less distraction.
I love that.
And when you talk about focusing on one thing, you're absolutely right, we need to be able to do that. And even if you've got things that you might use on your desk, that stuff is there and it's in our peripheral vision. So if we can clear things into drawers, even, it enables us just to focus on that one task or thing that we need to read or whatever it is. So it simplifies things.
Brilliant. I want to share a quick story with you. I was out with one of my clients who flew me into Seattle a while back, and she wanted me to work on her business and help her office and all of that. So we got to her office and she opened her computer and I almost fell on the floor. In her inbox were something like 8,000 and something emails. And I was like, how do you work? Like, when you turn on your computer, if I saw that in my inbox, I would just want to close down my computer. I'd be so overwhelmed. And she said, well, I don't have time to read all this email. So I looked and I organized it in the oldest date, and some of them were 8 years old. So clearly they couldn't be that important. So do you have any tips on how people can manage email? Because I feel like people get really sucked into an email trap and a social media trap.
Yeah. And there are different ways that you can manage things like email. With physical paper, I often say kind of only touch it once. So, when you get a letter through the post, you want to open it, get rid of your envelope, decide what to do with it, and try and deal with it then and there. If you can, great. If you can't, okay, maybe you need to come back to it, but only come back to it once. So we can approach email in the same way. If you've not either read it and not been chased up, then maybe it's not that important. If you've read it and closed it and you'll come back to it, but you haven't, again, you've taken the choice not to deal with it. That is a decision. So, to some extent, you can remove it. You can say, right, well, I didn't do it. That was a decision. I'm going to just delete it. People use email in different ways. So you might have an action box where, again, those are the things I need to come back to an action, but I should only come back to it once. But deleting email is a good way. And if it's important, you're going to be chased up. But really, if you can deal with it straight away with an answer and then get rid, that's the ideal, isn't it?
It is. I've been pretty good over the years about keeping my inbox very clean, because I remember opening my own box at one point and there were hundreds of emails. And I said, that's overwhelming. I'm never going to do this again. So I'm really good about reading an email, either sending it to someone on my team if it needs to be delegated, and then deleting it, or instantly. I have tons of different pre-made autoresponders that I can just hit a button and they go out. Or I can just dump it. There's so much that I really don't need, and I can trash it. And I think that's also great advice about paper. I don't accumulate paper, but I love my husband to pieces. I've never seen anyone accumulate so much paper. And there's paper. And then, interestingly enough, he can't find what he needs because of the abundance of paper. So what if you have someone who, I love the word, and maybe it's not technically what he is kind of a hoarder and is afraid to throw anything away? Then what?
So, you use the word hoarder. It is recognised as a health condition in its own right now, and there's a certain definition around that. But I know people use the term to describe people that are collecting things. And I guess the first thing would be to understand kind of what's important. So we don't necessarily need to understand why he's kept everything, but we need to get him to define what's important, and then to work out where he wants to keep the things that are important, and get him to think about what he's going to do with everything else that isn't important, because it maybe is just not taking action because he's not sure what to do with it. And it's thinking through what's the strategy. What's going to be the plan of action? And you mentioned delegation. There's a great model, the Eisenhower model, where you have 4 quadrants to think about. So one is, defining what's really urgent and really important, and that's the quadrant that you work on. You need to focus on, because it's either important or urgent. Well, it's actually both. If it's important but it's not urgent, you can schedule in your time to deal with it and come back to it and make sure you do that. If it's urgent but not important, is that something that somebody else could do to help you? Or is there another way that you could manage it? And then there's the other category, the 4th category, which are the things that aren't important or urgent. And actually, we perhaps don't need to deal with those at all. So it might be that helping him think through his strategy for approaching how he categorizes those, the paper coming in, and then what he does with those things would really help him.
Is your business struggling? You want more leads, you want to convert leads more easily, you want more revenues, more profits. Whatever your biggest business challenge is, we're here to help you. We have a proprietary proven process that's guaranteed here at Heartrepreneur to help you increase your revenues and profits. And we have the ability to help you overcome your biggest business challenge. Simply send us an email to Terri, Terri, at Terri Levine, Levine.com, and we will show you how we can help you overcome your biggest business problem by doing a customized blueprint just for you. Whatever your problem or challenge is, stop struggling, stop the frustration. Let us help you so that you can have more money, more freedom, and more free time in your business. Do it now. Send the email now. So my next question, because I'm really interested in getting him some help. So I am speaking selfishly, however, I know that the audience will relate. Look around your homes, your offices, your cars. Where are you in the clutter situation? What about email? What about your life? Do you work with people by Zoom, or how do you work with people? And also please tell us how we can get in touch with you and find out more.
Yeah, sure. So I work with people virtually, so over Zoom or WhatsApp, because there are lots of people out there who kind of feel that they want to get on and do the task, but they're finding it really overwhelming, don't know where to start, perhaps want some ideas. So I work with them, and I'm not physically there, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together, look at the issues, put together a really good plan, and also help keep them accountable. Because it's really, we have all good intentions, but sometimes it's really hard to make a start and to keep it going. So, I do all of that over online. But I also then, if people want me to, I can go into people's homes and work with them and be an extra pair of hands, and work through practically to help them, get things through things really quickly.
Brilliant.
So
how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is organisedwell.co.uk. As I say, I'm based in the Midlands in the UK, but my virtual service is available worldwide.
Excellent. So OrganisedWell. Perfect. So, all right, I want to be more organized and organized well. Now let's talk about just our health. What happens if every day we are living with a lot of clutter, a cluttered environment, and a cluttered mind? Not just what happens to our business, but now what happens to us as human beings?
Yeah, so clutter around us has a number of impacts, and it particularly on our stress levels. So if we are already stressed, if we're already juggling and dealing with lots of other issues, our environment can add to that. And if we're not, but we're living in a cluttered environment, it can impact our mood, which can make it harder to deal with other things. And if you're unwell, it can make it harder day to day. So we have a kind of fight or flight response to that noise, and it can increase the stress levels, increase those hormones, and it makes it really difficult for us to remain calm. It can have an impact on our relationships with people that we're living with. It can also mean that, maybe we don't want people to come and visit us. So we begin then perhaps to isolate ourselves, and prevent actually really important things being done in our environment, have work people come in, but also, we are social beings. We need to have contact, and if you feel a sense of shame about your home or your working environment, then that you can begin to isolate yourself.
Keep going. That's great.
Yeah. In terms of our focus, we've talked a little bit about that, haven't we? With the visual noise, it can be distracting. We can have a sense of unfinished business, which kind of niggles at us and takes us away from the tasks that we really need to be focusing on. And it can make it, become delayed decisions. So we put things off. I'll deal with that another day. I'll just pop this here and deal with it later. But actually what we're doing is we're encouraging ourselves to put things off. And then we start to feel guilty and it becomes harder to get things done. So we get into habits of delaying, which builds up our environment, but it's not a good habit to be in either.
Yeah. It's interesting. As you're talking, I'm thinking the people in my life, the clients in my life, friends and family who tend to procrastinate in their thinking, I see that they also have more clutter. Again, whether it be email in their homes, in their offices, some of them even in their cars. Is there some correlation between procrastination and clutter or lack of organization?
Well, I don't know the science behind it, but I would say it's the same sort of behavior, isn't it? Procrastination is about avoidance. It's about putting things off for later. And often it's to do with the emotions that we're feeling. So, we put things off because we don't like the idea of it, because we're scared or because we're nervous about something or we're fearful, or we have other negative emotions. And I think, we behave in a similar way with our things, don't we? So if we feel like actually we should be doing a task, we should go and sort something out, or we should deal with it, but maybe we have emotions around the items that we need to look at. Maybe they have memories attached, or we've become attached to the item itself. It's become familiar. It's been around a long time. We may fear, getting rid of that item. We may fear the loss of that item, or we may fear facing into those emotions related to that item. So yeah, it's very similar.
So where does someone start? Let's say someone's listening, someone's watching, and they're like, yeah, my environment can use a tune-up, and it seems overwhelming. Where should they start? Maybe let's give them some homework.
Okay. So if we are, particularly if we're facing that, emotions about something, maybe we feel bad because we didn't deal with a task, or maybe we feel that there's just so much to deal with. The first thing to think about, I always find it's really helpful in kind of building motivation, is why do I want to do this? So when you decided you wanted to tackle your office, why did you want to start tackling your office? What gave you that idea?
I can actually answer that. I was working the other day and I just turned my head to look around and I went, oh, no wonder I don't want to come up here. There's so many things that I don't want to look at them. I don't want to deal with them. So I dread coming into my office. And that's when it hit me. Get rid of those things and don't surround yourself with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you really tapped into kind of why you didn't enjoy working in that space. Yeah. So that's a really great, there's often we tackle things or we do the hard jobs because we have to, not because we fancy it, but because we can't avoid it any longer. So if you can tap into that emotion, then that's really great. Other things to think about as an alternative might be, what am I going to get from doing this hard work? What's the benefit? Am I going to create more space that I can use for a hobby, or to spend time with family, or just to feel better and maybe have some time to myself, or to be productive and be able to work better? So, really tap into kind of what's the reason? Why am I doing this? And then also thinking about what's the vision? What do I want it to look like? When I get to this destination, what will it look like for me? So you might be dreaming of your ideal bedroom and how relaxing and calm it's going to be and how you're going to feel in that space. So you can really tap into kind of really why you want to do it and why it's going to be worth the effort. So I always think it's important to start there. And then we want to really break it down. So Don't start thinking, I'm going to tackle the whole house. You're not. Actually, you need to do a very small job first. One that will be easy, one that you can have a real sense of achievement and think, yeah, I did that drawer, you know. You need to feel great after it because you need to do more of it. So a drawer, a cupboard, something small, something that maybe will make a difference. So sometimes the hallway is the best place to start, because you walk in every day from work or from having been out and go, I love to be home. It looks great. So yeah, find a place that will make it feel different.
I love this. So, you know, got to have a why. We have to have a destination. We have to have a vision. And then we have to break it into small, actionable steps. It's so interesting. It sounds like how to build a business. Like literally, it's the same thinking, which is why I think every business owner, entrepreneur, even CEO, manager, doesn't matter what you do. If you work and you get paid for what work you do, this information and being organized and having decluttered home, office, car, email is a very important lesson because it parallels how you build a business. I just remembered something as I was saying that. My very first business that I grew to $1 million many, many, many decades ago, I remember having a glass desk in my office. And I never wanted anything on the desk because it would look really bad on a glass desk. So I had a photo of my husband and myself, and I had a little ceramic angel that someone made me. And every night before I left the office, if there were papers or pens or anything, I put them away, put them in a drawer. And when I came in the next day, I remember it always looked great. So I just remembered that tip. Would that be something that might be helpful for others?
Yeah, that's a great habit to be in. Clear everything away at the end of the day. If you need to make your to-do list for tomorrow, do that. But then when you come in the morning, you're ready to start and you're ready to focus on that one thing that you need to get done today, that you need to start on. Yeah. And it feels great, doesn't it? It feels really inviting and you're ready.
Yeah. This morning, I get up early. I'm an early person, and I got up even earlier. And I usually sit in the kitchen and have my coffee, and then I come up to my office. And I was like, oh no, I want to have my coffee in my office. And I was so excited to be here. Plus, I've been ridiculously productive. And I think it's because I'm not being distracted. Wow. You have given so much value, so many great tips. Please tell people once again how to get in touch with you, because I know I need you, and I'm really talking clearly to every business owner. Look at your income, look at your mental health and your physical health, and then seriously, look at the space that you spend your time in, whether it's at your computer that can have a cluttered desktop and email. And I've seen people open desktops and I'm like, wow, nothing is on my desktop. I mean, nothing other than one file I might be working on, nothing. And that helps me. Look at your office, look at your home, look at your car. If you have a vacation home, look there and be honest. Would this help you? And Laura, then one more time, how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, sure. So everyone can get in touch with me at organisedwell.co.uk.
Beautiful. You have created so much value. And I have to tell you, I'm like really excited now to sit down at the end of the day and really create a vision. I'm not going to do all the rooms in my house. I'm going to create a vision for the 3 rooms that we spend the most time in. And then I'm just going to keep working my plan, little actions every day, and I'll report back to you.
That'd be fab. So exciting.
Thank you for tuning in today, Heartrepreneurs, here to Heartrepreneur Radio, Heartrepreneur TV. Now, a couple of things that I want to remind you of. You can find all of our radio and TV shows on our blog as a transcript. If you don't want to watch us or listen to us, that's heartrepreneur.com/blog. And we have an educational webinar called the 7 Deviations, which literally can flow money right into your business. And it's not a sales webinar. And that's a gift for you at TL, like Terri Levine, tlwebinar.com. And finally, If you are not a member of our Facebook group, Entrepreneurs with Terri Levine, join us today. First of all, when you join, you get an additional free gift. But second of all, the guests from my radio shows are there. Other experts are there. You'll have a community of about 5,000 entrepreneurs. And Laura, I hope you will join us there as well.
Sure.
We would love to have you. All right. So thank you once again for tuning in for another episode of Entrepreneur Radio and Entrepreneur TV. Bye now.
You've been listening to Entrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart with your host, Terri Levine. This show is produced every week for your enjoyment and education. To make sure you never miss a single show, add us to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also read Terri's latest blog posts at www.entrepreneur.com/blog or follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Entrepreneur Terri Levine. Your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. Send them to Terri on either Facebook or Twitter. Thank you for listening.